During our extensive grocery shopping that took far longer than necessary due to the lack of items at each store we went to, I begged my wife to let me get a large frozen pizza I used to eat as a child. We came home, we put groceries away, and I set the pizza to bake in the oven. Shortly after, our 3-month-old son began crying. I changed him, and I sat down to feed him. While I'm feeding him, the pizza finishes cooking, and my wife brings me a slice and holds the pizza. I have one hand holding my son and one hand holding his bottle, out for me to take a bite. Now, I'm excited. I've been dreaming of tasting this pizza throughout our entire shopping trip. I let my mouth gape open and take an unnecessarily large bite. I noticed that the crust was unusually tough to get through, so I just kept biting down in order to get my well-deserved mouthful of pizza. Then, my wife screams, and runs to the kitchen. It turns out that the crust was not tough, it was her fingernail I was biting down on, so much so that I even left a small blood blister under her nail. I realized what had happened, and I felt awful. She was in pain, but we both ended up laughing about it after a few minutes. I'd give the pizza a solid 7/10 and her finger a 3/10. TL, doctor, I thought my wife's ring finger was part of the pizza she was serving me. I was wrong. I'm Korean and have been living in the US for 29 years. I currently live in a suburban town. Amidst the coronavirus pandemic, my girlfriend needed a few more items to prepare for dinner tonight, so I went to the local chain supermarket to purchase the items. I was on the canned goods aisle when a man approached me and said, "Hey, you Chinese people are supposed to be quarantined. You're the reason why this Chinese virus keeps spreading." I tried to explain to him that it's not a Chinese virus, but rather a new version of a virus that has been around a long time. This just made him more angry and charged me and threw me to the ground, saying he was making a citizen's arrest. Thankfully a store employee witnessed this and called 911. The man got off me and ran out the store once before police arrived once he realized the employee was calling 911. I know this isn't really my fault, but I should have known better than to go out in public in this climate where the Chinese virus rhetoric and ignorance is rampant. Thankfully I wasn't hurt badly other than a sore neck. TL, doctor, I'm Asian. Went to the supermarket to purchase some items my girlfriend needed to prepare dinner and was attacked by a man claiming I was supposed to be quarantined because I'm Chinese and spreading the Chinese virus. Hello all, little backstory, TL, doctor at the end. I own an eyeglass store in NYC, and often I have to do small tests in order to make sure a patient's lenses are situated in their glasses properly. These tests have me less than a foot away from the patient, face to face, and they include pupillary distance, segment heights, etc. I am so fucking pissed off at my patient and the hoarders, so excuse me while I vent. As I was taking a patient's pupillary distance for her eyeglasses, she coughed right in my fucking face. No apologies, no remos. I ran to the bathroom, washed my face immediately, then went to the break room, grabbed a bottle of vodka, in lieu of mouthwash, and was gargling it. I broke professionalism and the hood came out of me while I yelled, "Yo, what the fuck?" She chuckles a little bit and goes, "Oh. Yay." As her face turns red. The worst part? Because of all the fucking idiots panic buying medical supplies, I was unprotected. The bitch didn't even apologize. I've begun to show symptoms of coronavirus, and now, not only will I miss my baby's birth, but I might have to be quarantined and not be able to touch, hold or comfort my wife and child after the baby is born for weeks. My wife is going to give birth without me present. And, as a small business owner, I am not only losing out on making money but have to pay 2 motherfucking rents, home and business. I'm not going to be able to hold my own fucking wife's hand while she needs me most, nor will I be able to see my kid after it's born. All of you fucking complaining that you're home, be grateful. I will most likely lose my business too. P.S. for all of you about to call me unprofessional for cursing and saying all this shit, fuck you. Ick about professionalism when my pregnant wife is in danger, when I can't hold my fucking child. Fuck professionalism, my family matter to me, not being fucking disingenuously nice to some fucked up bitch who thinks it's cute to cough in people's faces during a pandemic. TL, doctor, because I couldn't close my store, I got coughed on face to face, causing me to miss the birth of my child and most probably lose my business if I'm quarantined. This happened to me about 9 years ago. Still gives me a good chuckle. I was a bit hesitant to share this because I didn't want someone taking it the wrong way and sending PETA after me. So as a disclaimer, my cat is perfectly alive and well, and was not injured when this happened. Here's what happened. To start off, a little backstory. I was a virgin until I was 25. My first serious boyfriend, now husband, also a virgin at the time, and I had just started our life together after being in a long-distance relationship for 2 years. I was feeling so happy with our new little apartment, and was so excited because we had just adopted a beautiful tuxedo cat. Our little family was finally coming together. Life was good, but we were getting tired of just foreplay. Because of my family's strict religious background, we had originally discussed saving sex until after we got married. However, after we moved in together, that idea quickly flew out the window and we decided we needed to have sex now. No way could we wait any longer. Well, the day finally came. We were ready. After dinner, I excitedly lit some candles and placed them on top of our dresser and around the room. It was a mood, and I was getting more and more excited. I anticipated this being one of the most memorable nights of my life. I wasn't wrong. We went to bed, and things were starting to get hot and heavy. It was perfect. We were a whirlwind of love and sex, and the world around us dropped off. We started to find a rhythm, but suddenly I was brought back to earth by the slight scent of what seemed to be burned hair. Odd, but we continued. All of a sudden my husband screamed the cat. I look past his shoulder and see a black and white streak of fur jumping off the dresser and running out of the room, followed by a puff of gray smoke. Turns out, our cat didn't understand the concept of fire and had been standing over the top of a couple candles, and had seemingly lit a bit of his underbelly fur on fire. Panic. We ran out after him to see what damage had been done. I had my flip phone in my hand ready to call the emergency vet. Turns out he was completely fine, just a couple spots of singed hair. No visible burns to the skin. Nothing. Keep in mind we're both completely naked and my husband still has a full boner, somehow. After making sure the cat was okay, I plopped some wet food on a plate to occupy him, and we walked back to the bedroom. I blew out all the candles. We did the deed. I will never forget it, but probably not for the reasons that most people remember their first time. TL, Doctor, the night I lost my virginity, my cat stood over a couple candles and lit his belly fur on fire. He is fine, but it was a very memorable night. TL, Doctor, at the end. This didn't actually happen today but a few years ago. Me and my boyfriend were living together at my family home until he got a new job and we were planning on moving out together. I ended up breaking my phone so I would use his phone to log into my social medias to check and let my friends know I'm okay, I just don't have a phone right now. This was during the time Kik was still big and everyone used it to talk to each other, so I logged into his phone. I had my account set to automatically sync contacts when I logged in, so when I used his phone it automatically synced all his contacts to my account. I didn't really think about it at first until a few days later my boyfriend said he needed to talk to me about something. At this point I had absolutely no idea what was going on. He told me that he got a notification from my Kik and he checked it because it turns out his own father sent me a flirty message trying to set up a date or something. My boyfriend is weirded out and keeps asking how I would have his dad's Kik, and why his dad even has a Kik to begin with. He asked his dad and his dad tells him that he thinks he got my Kik off of Craigslist because he has a habit of seeking out women of the night. So that prompts a conversation about if I was putting my information online and if I was also a sex worker. His dad is older and doesn't understand the whole syncing contacts, so it took a minute of trying to convince him I was not on Craigslist and it was a mistake. His dad was thoroughly convinced that I was a sex worker and that I just got caught. His dad even told him to be careful around me because even though I'm not a sex worker, my picture on Kik was apparently enough to make someone think I was one. My Kik picture was literally just a mirror selfie wearing a long-sleeve shirt and a skirt. It took months for his dad to really be convinced it was really a mistake and I wasn't a sex worker cheating on his son. I must add I live in the deep south and I am one of the only people in town to have colored hair and piercings, so that makes a lot of people assume the worst from me. And it was a big part why his dad thought I was lying about being a SW. I am also very sex repulsed, so this made me extremely uncomfortable and upset. It's been years and his dad is nice to me and has dropped the whole she's a sex worker thing, but it still bothers me a lot. TL, Doctor, my boyfriend's dad got my Kik when I used his phone and his dad tried to pay me for sex, and was convinced for years I was a sex worker. I imagine most of you can see where this is going, but before the story you need to know two things. I'm a university student at home. With the outbreak of the COVID virus, my university has shut down all non-essential activities. My job falls in line with one of those non-essential activities, so I'm without a job. When I came back home for spring break, I managed to convince my uncle to let me work under him in his restaurant. It's just a little family startup burger shack. It exists in such a small building that there is no dining room. You come in and order, get your food, and leave. Imagine a McDonald's without a drive-thru or dining room. The important thing is that you can see the kitchen and grill from where you're ordering and waiting for pickup. I have asthma. This is usually unimportant. Usually. Since I'm home with dogs who shed enough that if I collected the fur and stitched it together, I could probably cloth most of the continental US, my asthma has been acting up and making me cough. A very dry cough. A cough similar to COVID. So, I'm working the grill at the Burger Shack, trying to breathe through the straw that is my throat right now. So far, I have managed to take shallow breaths and avoid coughing. Enter Karen Zord. I refer to her as such because, she looked as if 4 or 5 Karens came together like the Power Rangers to form the Megazord. Mighty Morphin, may I see your manager? Anyways, this behemoth of a woman waddles to the register to order her food. I had doubts about our ability to supply what she wanted. I wasn't sure if our little Burger Shack had enough food to feed this woman that looked as if she would need the same amount of sustenance as the combined population of Manhattan Island. My coworker leaned over to me and made a joke about Karen Zord. Unfortunately, this set me off. I laughed, and while laughing I took too deep of a breath. This spurred a coughing fit. I turned away from the food and faced the floor so if I coughed any spray, it would hit the ground, not the grill. Well, that didn't matter. Karen Zord narrowed her beady eyes at me. Aiming a finger that looked more like a potato at me, she growled, "You have that coronavirus, don't you?" Cue me and others trying to explain my asthma. Karen Zord refuses to hear it and turns to the other patrons, shouting about how I have the coronavirus and she saw me coughing on the food. I wish I could say that leveled heads prevailed. I wish I could say that the pubic ousted Karen Zord. I kind of wish we could say we set her on fire and left her body to burn for days like Chinese warlord Dong Zhou. These did not happen. People began to shout and holler if this was true. We attempted to staunch the flow of rumors and panic, but it outgrew us too fast. Those in and out of the restaurant began to shout about how a cook at, insert Uncle's Burger Shack, had coronavirus. Karen Zord led the charge as people asked for their money back and threw their food back across the counter at us. Eventually we had to call the police. When they arrived, they brought paramedics who immediately shut us down to swab and test. My uncle lost a lot of money and product and I was hauled off to get tested. On the way to the hospital, the paramedic gave me some albuterol to take. Asthma medication usually through an inhaler. Lo and behold, I had asthma and it cleared up. Not COVID. I went home to see my uncle distraught. The shack has been shut down by the city government for at least a few days to clean and test. This is money he cannot afford to lose. Now I sit in my room feeling like the entire family is mad at me. All because of my damn asthma and Karen Zord. Today sucks. TL, doctor, coughed at my uncle's Burger Shack while working grill and started a COVID panic.